A new school. Some stories are so touching that they reach your heart. Today's story is one such. Gayatri was a single mother and had recently shifted back to Mumbai with her 13-year-old daughter, Arya. Gayatri had left Mumbai when Arya was born, moving far away from her husband and parents. But now, after 13 years, she was back in her old home. The next day was Arya's first day at her new school. While most people are excited about making new friends and experiences in a new school, Arya was extremely nervous because people often didn't accept her in new places. The reason was that she was special. Her face and demeanor were a little different from other children. A smile always graced her face, but her way of speaking was a bit slow. There was a unique innocence in her eyes, and she felt everything more deeply than others. Arya had Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a genetic condition, a disease a child is born with, caused by an extra chromosome in our body. It affects the person's physical development and learning ability. People suffering from Down syndrome might speak a little slower, and there might be some differences in their facial features. However, this absolutely does not mean they are weak. In fact, people with Down syndrome are very pure-hearted, loving, and full of emotions. Their happiness lies in small things, and their smiles are very genuine. And Arya was just like that, pure of heart. But Arya's first day at the new school wasn't going well. All the children were looking at her strangely. When drawing class began, the teacher asked her to take out her sketchbook, but upon checking, she couldn't find her sketchbook in her bag. She couldn't understand how this could happen because she remembered her mother had put a new sketchbook in her bag for her. Without a second thought, the teacher scolded Arya in front of everyone. The children made fun of her. As soon as the teacher left, 3 boys, Aryan, Rohit, and Kabir, came up to her, laughing and teasing her for being slow, saying how they took her drawing book from her bag right in front of her, and she didn't even notice. Hearing this, tears welled up in Arya's eyes. The 3 of them tore Arya's sketchbook in front of her, and Arya started crying loudly. During the break, as she sat crying on the ground, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She looked around the ground but saw no one else far and wide. But when she picked up her bag to leave, the same sketchbook was on top of her bag, but it was brand new. And what's more, there were new sketches inside, her favorite ocean scenes, and below them was written deep in Arya. Arya loved to draw, but her drawing teacher didn't like her. Because Arya looked different, her drawing teacher discriminated against her and scolded her the most in class. Once, she even insulted Arya by calling her a monster in front of the entire class. Arya cried a lot that day too, but the very next day, something strange started happening with her drawing teacher. Suddenly, their exam papers folder disappeared. They searched everywhere for it, but the papers were nowhere to be found. This was a huge mistake, which led to the drawing teacher being fired. But Arya's troubles didn't end. Those 3 boys, Aryan, Rohit, and Kabir, started hiding her things again and bothering her. But Arya said nothing now. Only a smile was on her face, as if someone was watching her all the time and bringing back her hidden things with their magic. One day, during the last period of school, those 3 boys locked Arya in a small storeroom. That storeroom was only dark, with no windows. Arya began to suffocate and screamed, but no one could hear her. Suddenly, a bright light filled the room, and Arya saw the shadow of a boy, roughly her age, standing there. She became even more frightened, but then the storeroom door opened on its own. Before Arya could understand anything, the white shadow took her hand and led her outside. Meanwhile, the 3 boys who had been bullying Arya were walking down the corridor. All the corridor lights began to turn off. They suddenly felt a hand on their necks, and before they could comprehend, someone lifted them into the air and slammed them against the corridor wall. They were stuck to the wall as if glued. They screamed in fear, begging for help, and then a white shadow appeared before them. Its face was exactly like Arya's, its eyes completely hollow, and its body covered in many wounds. The white shadow began to choke them. The shadow told them that Arya had suffered just like this. At this, all three boys broke down crying and begged the shadow for forgiveness for bothering Arya. And then the shadow dropped them to the ground and vanished. The three of them ran home, but the shadow didn't leave them alone. The shadow appeared to them throughout the night, in every corner of their house. The next morning, all three of them had a high fever and were muttering only one thing: that Arya should forgive them and they would never bother her again. The boys' parents, suspecting Arya, shared everything with the school principal. The principal then checked the CCTV footage. In the footage, Arya was never alone. A blurry shadow was always visible behind her. Arya's mother, Gayatri, was called to the school. She asked Arya everything, and Arya said that it was Deep, her shadowy friend who was always with her. At the mention of Deep's name, Gayatri's face turned pale, and she couldn't stop her tears even if she wanted to. She looked at the principal and explained that the shadow, that spirit, belonged to Arya's twin brother, Deep. Deep and Arya were both born twins, and both had Down syndrome. While Gayatri accepted this as God's will and gave them immense love, Gayatri's husband never accepted the children. One night, while Gayatri was sleeping, her intoxicated husband tragically killed Deep. Gayatri woke up when Deep screamed. Gayatri took Arya and fled from there, saving their lives. She changed cities, changed her name, but in every school, Arya continued to face problems due to Down syndrome, and in every society, Arya was discriminated against and mocked. It was because of this that they returned to Mumbai, hoping that in a city like Mumbai, Arya might not feel different. Gayatri always kept running for Arya's future, and that day she realized that Deep had always been there with them, protecting Arya. After that day, everything changed. Ayan, Rohit, and Kabir came to Arya. They apologized to her, gifted her many sketchbooks, shared their lunch, and they all became friends. Even now, in Arya's life, Deep's shadow appears to her and her mother during every special moment. Arya is never sad now because she knows that her brother, her Deep, is always with her. Friends, there are many children, many people who are going through Down syndrome, whom we should support and never discriminate against. Despite having Down syndrome, people have been successful in various fields like acting, music, modeling. Many have even built million-dollar companies and won big medals in sports. Therefore, truly, all these people are stars on earth. Friends, Amir Khan has brought such an inspirational story of these people in his new movie, Sitar Zameen Par, which is releasing in theaters on June 20th. So, all of you, take your family and friends to the theaters and enjoy this movie. And yes, if you liked our story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel Kuni Monday. And remember, never bully anyone.